According to psychology, why do some people suddenly burst into tears for no apparent reason? There are times when tears fall, but you don't know why. In modern life, we are often taught that emotions must have a reason. A person only cries when there is tragedy, only feels sadness when there is loss, only breaks down when pressure comes from a clearly identifiable event. Yet, there are moments when tears fall unexpectedly without any explanation. No one is hurting us at that moment. No major incident has occurred. It's just that in an instant of emptiness, everything suddenly shatters, and we cry as if our body is speaking on behalf of what our mind hasn't yet had time to understand. In psychology, this phenomenon has a name: emotional breakdown, and hidden behind those unexplained tears is a long journey of suppression, effort, and silent exhaustion. The truth is, tears rarely come from a single moment. What we call crying for no reason is actually the end point of a quiet accumulation. It comes from the days we tried to appear fine when inside we were in turmoil. It comes from the times we swallowed our emotions, swallowed the words we wanted to say, swallowed the tears that wanted to fall. It comes from the exhaustion that cannot be named, from the sadness that cannot be spoken. On the outside, we still smile, still talk, still go through the motions of daily life. We are still responsible adults, still a pillar for those around us. But inside, our minds have become filled with invisible pressures, filled with everything that has yet to be released. Like a cup filled to the brim, just one more small drop is enough to make everything overflow. In that moment, a familiar melody, a fleeting memory, or simply a sudden feeling of emptiness all become that final drop. We are not crying because of that melody, nor because of that memory. We cry because we have kept everything under control for too long, and in that instant, the walls we built collapse in a flash. In psychology, emotional breakdown is not considered a mental disorder, but rather a sign that a person's limit of endurance has been exceeded. Notably, those who are prone to this state are often highly sensitive individuals. They perceive the world more deeply, understand more profoundly, and because of this, they carry a heavier emotional burden. They may be the ones who always listen to their friends' stories, always understand others' pain, yet lack the habit of sharing what they themselves are carrying. This very sensitivity makes them vulnerable, but also makes them better at hiding their wounds than anyone else. And then, just one very small thing, an offhand remark, a distant gaze, a moment of loneliness, is enough to awaken what they thought they had buried. Those emotions no longer come bit by bit, but explode all at once like a flood sweeping away every layer of defense. What matters most, to emphasize, is this: crying like that is not weakness. In a culture that often values strength and restraint, bursting into tears over something that seems like nothing can easily make people feel ashamed or berate themselves for being weak. But in reality, it is our body's way of saying that we have endured enough. It is the voice of self-preservation when the mind no longer has the strength to keep holding on. Those tears are not a sign of failure, but a natural form of healing. Studies have shown that emotional tears contain stress hormones, and crying helps the body release these substances, bringing us back to a more balanced state. Therefore, instead of suppressing or judging ourselves, we should allow ourselves to be moved, to fully experience that emotion. After the rain, the sky clears. After tears, we often feel a little lighter, even if no problem has truly been solved. That doesn't mean everything has suddenly become okay, but rather that finally, we have allowed ourselves to be who we truly are. a human being with complex emotions, accumulated exhaustion, and limits that need to be acknowledged. Emotional breakdown, therefore, is not an enemy, but a friend carrying a quiet message. It is time for us to look at what we have been carrying, time for us to live authentically with our inner emotions, and most importantly, time for us to allow ourselves to be vulnerable so that we can become truly strong. On the long journey of life, each person has their own way of facing invisible pressures. But perhaps the greatest lesson that the phenomenon of crying for no reason brings is the acknowledgement that emotions do not necessarily need a reason. And deep within each person, there exists an inner world that deserves to be heard. Sometimes, the greatest gift we can give ourselves is simply to let tears fall, to let our soul rest, and to remember. Amidst the long days of trying, allowing ourselves to cry is also a valuable way of loving ourselves.